If your agency is stuck between 15 to 25K a month, you probably don't need a new lead source. It's because you are still the operating system, and that's why this plateau seems so confusing. You can close clients, you can get results, but you can't make it repeatable. And every time you try to scale, something breaks. And I wouldn't say this if I didn't run the operations of a 150K a month agency. When we were at these points, there's 4 main bottlenecks that are going to make you stay at the 20K a month mark. I'm going to go over all of them on this video right here to help you navigate through these bottlenecks, find the constraints, and be able to scale past at least 20 to 30K a month and more just by fixing these bottlenecks and really solving these issues. So on my screen, I'm going to go over all the bottlenecks one by one and help you navigate through these problems and go over what bottlenecks you face and how to push through to the next phase of growth. So bottleneck number 1 is founder heroics. This is where everything revolves around you. You are in charge of sales, you're in charge of onboarding, you're in charge of QA, client comms, and strategy. Up to this point, from 0 to 20K, you're probably used to doing everything, and it's very important that you actually do everything. This way you can learn the processes and know how to master them and what works for your agency. So when you delegate to other people, you can just show them the exact same system that you found that works for your clients or your agency. The first things you'll want to delegate at your 20K a month mark is definitely going to be around fulfillment, onboarding, and then eventually client comms. Everything that's high leverage, like sales, content, marketing, running ads, and being on the ads, all of these high leverage activities you still want to keep on yourself, and you want to delegate off the more lower leverage activities. Obviously, fulfillment and onboarding is still really important to be able to retain clients and build your actual agency, but those should be the first thing that should be delegated at this point at 20K a month. And here's a question for you. If I removed you from your agency for the next 10 days, just 10 days, would the agency still run? Would there be a lot of issues and would it all crash and burn? If the answer is yes, this means you need to work on more of delegation, setting up systems, and being able to have everything run smoothly without you. Set up AI automation systems on your clients' ads managers where they have rules at a certain ad budget, it gets shut off and then sends you an update to create a new creative. Anything simple like that, all these little systems add up to the point where things can start operating without you. And eventually, as you grow and are able to invest back in the team, again, you can hire off and delegate most of the parts of the agency. And once you realize that you are the operating system, the next bottleneck becomes very obvious because it's the reason why when you hire, it never actually feels like relief. And this bottleneck is when your delivery is not productized. This is a massive problem, and it's my main leverage point when I try to teach new clients that have agencies on the first step you should do is productize your service. The easiest way to do this, like I mentioned, at that first start between 0 to 20K a month, you're probably doing a lot of this stuff on the fulfillment. While you're doing this and you find anything that works for your clients, you need to make SOPs. Make a Loom video, make a text document, put it somewhere in a Google Drive or a Notion document and just have it there on how to create ads, how to set up the campaign, how to do any part of systems that's within your agency. That's going to be step number 1 to making sure that your service is productized. The second that you add team members, they need to have a very solid step-by-step instruction on how to complete the service, or else it's going to go off of what they think and what you think, and it's all going to be chaos. One client is going to have a completely different service and quality of service than another client because 2 different people are managing it that are only following their own systems and not one productized SOP. So very, very important that you actually productize this. You can use Manus AI for some automations, make.com, process libraries, training, team accountability. All of this is very, very important. If you're unable to explain your delivery within 60 seconds to a new prospect, you probably can't scale it. It's that simple. Now, here's where it gets a little uncomfortable. This bottleneck actually gets you stressed when you think things are working. Bottleneck 3, the pipeline is not predictable. If you were solely relying on either organic, cold outreach, cold calling, anything within these stages of 0 to 20K a month, first of all, you did the right thing by starting off and not inducing a lot of risk up front by being able to do cold outreach and get clients into very cheap cost per acquisition. But at this time, you want to start making your pipeline more predictable because with cold outreach, I'm very sure that you probably have a very unpredictable schedule. 1 week you have 8 calls, 1 week you have 5 calls, tomorrow you have 0 calls. Everything is kind of unpredictable and it's very hard to reach your goal points and scale past past the 30K a month mark when you don't have a predictable pipeline. So the first step to this is at least tracking your sales data. You make sure you want to have a sales data sheet of showing all the close rates. You want to show all the show up rates, where they're coming from, which messaging sequence they're coming from, or videos if it's through organic. And you definitely want to start running paid ads. That's the last step. You're at the point now around 20K a month or a little less, maybe a little bit more. You need to start running paid ads. This is like not a question of if you should, it's you should start running paid ads. And I'll tell you why. The reason you should start running paid ads is because you can actually reverse engineer the months that you want to hit. For example, with our agency, we really wanted to hit a 200K a month. That was the goal, 200K. Now, it seems impossible when you just think of, wow, how can I do that? I must need a lot of sales calls. We're going to have to try some other funnels. What are we going to do? But when you can actually reverse engineer the data because you have the data being tracked of knowing your close rate and knowing what cost per booked appointment you need to get on your ads and what your usual cost per acquisition is and what your average order value is for your offer. Once you know just those numbers, you can calculate it up to see, okay, I need to hit a 200K month. That means we need X amount of calls and we're going to hit X close rate like we did last month. And we need X amount of cost per booked appointment on our ads to be able to get them booked. So our cost per lead needs to be this amount. Once you start reverse engineering these numbers, it becomes a lot more clear on how to hit these bigger months. And the main leverage to do this is with paid ads, because again, you're spending money to get booked appointments. And when you're spending money and you know the ads are working and you're doing them properly, you're knowing that you're getting predictable appointments on your calendar. So it's massive. Your marketing needs to be dialed. Definitely pair organic content with your paid ads. Maybe run a webinar or something along those lines, but you need a predictable pipeline, and that is the end of the story. And even if you fix all of that, you can still plateau right here because this next bottleneck can actually stop you from growing even when your sales is going great. So bottleneck number 4 is retention and expansion is accidental. Essentially what this means is that you cannot retain clients and you have a massive churn rate for your agency. Now, when it comes to churn, this is what I tell everybody. It comes to relationships or results. You either have something lacking within the communication side of not keeping up with the clients enough, or you don't have a roadmap and a transformation in your agency of when you sign on, you are probably this person, this X person. And what my service does is turn you into this person. So for example, for us, you're a real estate who closes 6+ deals a year. At the end of the service, and if it works successfully in the next 6 months, once we have everything tuned up and it's primed up, you're going to be a real estate agent who closes 12+ deals a year. You're doubling your listings with our service that we're helping you. Like that transformation is kind of needed, and that kind of goes within the relationships part and also has to deal with client communication. How often you're communicating with them? Are you keeping them accountable? Are you giving them updates and constantly being proactive on your side? And then the other side of it is results. So this is when the value does just not feel worth it for the amount that they're paying. So like I mentioned, if they're paying $1,200 a month for your service on Google Ads and it brings them an extra deal a month, which adds up to like a 1.2x return on profit for your entire service, doesn't really make sense. Not worth all the time investment where they could be putting that investment to something else that gives them a 4x return. So it's either value is not worth it. And again, this has to do with your service. Maybe your service is super basic. Maybe you need to add a couple layers to your service to make it more valuable. Like for us, the biggest thing is that we had to take control of the entire process to make our service great. Beforehand, we would run ads and bring leads to our clients, and the clients would have their own CRM set up and they would call their own leads. To this day, as we stacked onto the service, now we bring in leads through the ads. We have our custom CRM and landing pages that will qualify these ads before they even get to the CRM. Once they're in the CRM, we have full CRM management, AI texting, AI dialing, all that good stuff. Also a full human team of ISAs and appointment setters that will call these leads and book qualified appointments directly on the client's calendar. So they literally have to do nothing. We take care of the entire process. That way we have more control over the results that the client is getting. And obviously it's a lot more valuable to the client when you pitch that at the start. So that is a quick overview on churn and how that happens. I have another video kind of explaining it more in detail of how to actually set up the systems to prevent churn. But at the end of the day, this is a massive bottleneck, is not getting retention. You can only grow so much if you're just constantly chasing on new deals every single month, but then you're losing all those deals and you're only getting a normal average lifetime value from that client instead of keeping them for a year, 6 months out, and your lifetime value for that client grows exponentially, which helps you grow as an agency past those 30K months and build build that recurring or stacking revenue on the back end as well. That's another bottleneck to add on to this as well, is just hiring and investing when it feels right. If you're not hiring back in a team, taking that profits and being smart about the profits in your agency, and hiring back to delegate more so you can focus on the higher leverage stuff like sales and acquisition and keep growing the agency on that level, that's also going to be a huge bottleneck and kind of goes within the retention and expansion of your agency as well. But yeah, those are the essentially all 4 bottlenecks that you are going to face at this 20K a month mark. Again, it can be around 20K a month, but it's going to be one of these bottlenecks 100%. So I want you to comment below what you're facing right now in your agency if you're stuck near the 20K a month, what problems you're facing with, and why you feel like you can't grow past that. And I can come up with another video. I can reach out to you to try to help. And we also have off campus in the description below, which is essentially the whole entire systems we use for our agency stacked into a program where we have 3 weekly calls with myself for fulfillment and operations, my business partner Ricardo for sales and acquisition, and everything that has to do with the agency space to help you grow past that 30K month mark. So if you're interested in that, click the link in the description. Otherwise, like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed in this video. And yeah, any other video ideas, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.